Hi, welcome back. It's Lionel Yo, tech lead and partner at Westport. And today I'm going to talk to you about the dark side of software development. And I'm going to talk about 3 reasons why you don't want to be in the software business. Now, before I begin, I am sure all of you have heard about all the money that's been made as software. Software is the big thing, web is the big thing, coding is the big thing. There are lots of influencers online, there's lots of talk, and also the extent of the amount of Silicon Valley billionaires that are there. You study the top 100 billionaires, and you find a lot of them are tech founders, tech entrepreneurs, and you seem to be this glamorous, fantastic life. But I'm going to share with you 3 reasons why this is not true and things that you want to consider before you look at the software business as a career. Now, the first point is that software development and coding, right, it's very, very hard work. What am I talking about is that it's not because there's a lot of work to do. You control the amount, you toggle the amount of work that you do. But in software development, right, people can't really see the amount of extent that work is being piled into somebody. So this is similar to those guys who are sitting in a big, back in the day where they're building the pyramid or something, and you see a guy carrying tons of bricks and he's about to collapse and die from it. Now, you may think, hey, if a guy sits in the office and presses a couple of buttons, that's not the same thing. He's not going to die from this kind of work. It's not the amount of pressure that these people subject you to. And there's a lot of abuse of this because the people that are on top, they don't understand. They see you in front of a computer and they want more pressure. There's lots of stuff. They don't know what the work is involved. Software developers are subject to huge amounts of pressure. They're not really taken care of, all because they look like they're not doing anything sitting in a chair. And I tell you, a lot of people, I don't think they make it past their 30s, right, in the software business. They quit because of the pressure that they put under by the people above them and the people who are below them, to get projects done. There's always tight timelines because people are just assume that it's that easy, right? It's just some code. So the amount of stress is there, it can be an extremely stressful job, extremely difficult job. Go and look at all the guys in tech, right? Look at how Elon Musk sleeps on the floor. Look at how some of these guys code overnight because you can't see it, you can't see. These might be some of the most mentally tough people for doing this kind of stuff overnight, doing what you call in your mind. So that's the first thing. If you can't handle that, this is one of the bad things about the tech industry. So that's the first point. The second point about it is the kind of people that are involved in tech, right? And if you're involved in tech, it's a very, very, the kind of work that is it's a non-people centric. It's a very data-driven, intellectual kind of thing. And the bad news about that is the kind of people are involved in this industry are not very personal. You're gonna meet a lot of psychopath people. Okay, there are lots of it because this fits their whole concept. It's very results orientated. It has very little to do with people. Once you have the code and it's running, you can basically run them without people. It's not a people-centric business. And if you study the top entrepreneurs and the people there, right, you'll notice that they kind of lack a little bit of people skill. Take a look at Sergey Brin, take a look at Larry Page, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. They're kind of not really caring what's going to happen to you. They're not people persons. And there's nothing wrong with that. Psychopaths do very well in this industry because it's very results orientated. You're gonna see these are the best. Okay, these guys have probably been coaching themselves. Like you've seen the Social Network in a way that Mark responds to challenges in that this does not concern me.
You have part of my attention. You have the minimum amount. The rest of my attention is back at the offices of Facebook, where my colleagues...
You'll see a lot of those kind of people in the software business because that's the kind of business it is, because you just focus on the results, you focus on getting the thing, interpersonal doesn't happen, EQ is probably right at the bottom because you don't really need it. And I, for one, will testify that I am not the most people person. In fact, I've been trying to run stuff where I don't want to hear about problems, personal problems, because to me, I kind of like even out everything and say, okay, this is going to happen, it's going to happen. Okay? And the final reason is that it is heavily results orientated. So that's the third reason why you don't want to be in this business. One of the problems is that the differentiation between people who are very good and people who are not good is very wide, okay? A brilliant coder can do maybe half an hour, do all the work it take you for 3 weeks. They might look at a single problem and go, got that, I got the solution on there. And they could be a lot of, I would say, I don't want to say it's narcissism, but it's sort of like a lot of put downs, a lot of intellectual superiority, that kind of behavior. You'll see it very commonly among people who get into the FANG or top companies. And you see it when people are junior coming in. You'll see, tech leads just diss their ideas because, you don't know what you're talking about. That kind of intellectual snobbery. It's very putting off. It's from a very EQ kind of angle. And this is the reason because it is a very results orientated business, right? I mean, the leverage is amazing. If somebody is a brilliant guy, just hacks something in 1 week and then pushes it out, and it feeds that kind of culture of very you wouldn't call it alpha, right? It's not investment banking where you got these guys who are big stuff, but it's kind of a different kind of version where you've got people non-stop. You can see it on LinkedIn or on any kind of chat group when they diss a certain programming language, or they say, look, you don't know what you're talking about, or look where I came from, what university I studied, what kind of PhD I have. If you're the kind of person that really has a lack of self-confidence, you feel a lot imposter syndrome, this is a very bad industry to be in because of the reason number 2, the kind of psychopath, and reason number 3, that it's a very results-driven culture. And this is a reason why in a way, I think it does put a lot of women off because they tend to be more EQ, they tend to be more team-oriented, and then you have a culture which is really always boiling things down to, I always tell them, we always boil things down to ones and zeros in tech business. Like, behind all the fluff and all the stuff, it boils down to 0 and 1. And that's very exactly what the mindset is. It can be very putting off. A lot of people, I'm not talking about senior executives who somehow manage to juggle all of that. I'm talking about the junior guys, about women or any of these guys who are feeling a little bit more clued into their emotions, more clued in to be about, harmonious stuff. And then you have this kind of results orientated, does it compile or doesn't compile culture. And this can really affect people. I see tons of junior developers. A lot of them, especially more manageable style people, they switch over into project management. They don't do any more coding. I see a lot of younger guys who just don't want to touch it because they're so fruitful. They feel that their coding standard, their abilities are too low. They go in, they get bashed up. And remember, the leaders of these teams, right? Generally, in the first few levels, they're very technically strong, and the people skills are probably, like that. And they're gonna just they don't do it on purpose. They just by pure accidentally, just crushing you for that, and it can be really difficult. I mean, a tech lead who's an awesome developer, right? Just looked at your code, and just he may just make a comment, and it can hurt so much. It's like, this is so stupid. Right? I don't know why you wasted your time with this when you can have done that. There might have been no malice. In fact, I believe most of the guys that I've met, they have no objective actually trying to be a malice to you. It's just they look at it as like, isn't it obvious? Like it's elementary, my dear Watson, that kind of thing. So if they said that to you, and if your self-confidence is really bad, it can bash you non-stop. You'll see that tons of it, and this makes it a very difficult business to work with. That's why we see a lot of people quitting it. We see a lot of people, there's ageism as well. Some of the younger guys come in, they bash the older guys, and you see that. I mean, constantly defending people who are 50 or 60 from this kind of stuff, because it's such a results oriented business, right? So these are three reasons why software development, coding isn't for you. It's a little bit of the dark side. I don't want to put you guys off, but that's just how the industry works. I hope it gives you a big, wide idea. Also for, all of us tech leads, more of the senior guys, to be aware of these issues out there so that we can actually manage them. So that's all for now, and that's the bottom line because the tech lead said so.